And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host and author, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome back one of my favorite humans and authors, Kate White, here to give us the inside scoop the night before the book comes out on her latest thriller, I Came Back for You. Kate, tell us about this book.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. And you're one of my absolute favorites in the world in terms of interviewing everything related to the thriller and mystery world. I Came Back From You is a psychological thriller, but also whodunit about a woman named Bree who is informed one day that the man who's thought to have killed her daughter 8 years before has made a deathbed confession saying that, yes, he murdered 4 women, but the daughter isn't one of them. And she's been living in Uruguay with her new partner, just trying to find some peace again. And she has no choice because she knows she can never, be at peace unless she knows the truth. So she goes back to upstate New York, to the college town where her daughter was murdered with her ex-husband, no less, to try to figure out the truth. And so there are just a lot of complications because not only were there moments where she felt she didn't really know her daughter, she's with her ex-husband. And it's been 8 years since her daughter was murdered and 7 since she's been with her ex. So it's a tumultuous time for her.
Oh my gosh, a tumultuous time indeed. When I read the setup for that book, I was like, oh my God, I can't even imagine. I had to read it. So I have so many questions, and I know so many people have submitted questions in advance as well, which we'll get to those. But first, I just want to welcome everyone because we are broadcasting live to 7 different destinations across Facebook and YouTube. So hey, mystery and thriller lovers, wherever you're watching from, you're in the right place. This is the right time. It is Mystery Monday because Mondays can be murder. We're going to make it a little less painful and get your week off to a killer start. So if you've been here before, you know how it works. And if you're new, welcome, friends. Here's how it works. Every Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Kate White about her writing process, the premise of this book, her characters, how she writes, anything that's going on in your mind. Just get those questions going in the comments, and I will get them right over to us. Sharon is joining us from YouTube. She says, hi, girls. Happy Monday. Hi, Sharon. Welcome to the
Hey,
conversation.
Sharon. Thank
So good.
you.
So good to have you here as always. Renee is joining us from Southeast Florida saying, hi, Sarah and Kate. Hi, Renee. So good to see you.
Renee.
So good to see you with us as always. Kate, let's just jump right in. So how did you come up with this crazy and very, very tantalizing premise? Bring us back to the moment of inception.
Well, sometimes I get ideas from a headline, just as you've heard, ripped from a headline, or I'll overhear something or read something. But with this, it just kind of arrives sort of full blown out of my head. And I'm not really sure exactly where it came with. I've always been fascinated after having dated someone in my 20s who was very deceptive about the idea of what happens if everything you thought was true isn't. And I think sometimes, and I was talking to Lisa Unger, the thriller writer, about this. She's a friend of mine, and I know you know her, about
She's
how
up
sometimes.
next. She's at the top
Oh,
of
she
the hour.
is. She's got a book coming out this month too. And she and I talked about sometimes you use an adjacent feeling for your book. It's not
Ooh.
that you write about someone deceiving you who you dated, but you take what it feels like to realize that, wow, everything you believed wasn't true. That it's like you've been in a play that is a different play than you thought it was. And so I think I was intrigued with that. And then eventually it morphed into the idea of a mother discovering that what she thought had happened to her daughter was not what really happened.
Ooh, yeah, exactly. I mean, exactly. And that this man would, I think I'm also really intrigued by the idea of deathbed confessions, the idea
Right.
that someone is, you know, has maybe withheld the truth, but now it's just, there's nothing left to lose. So, just sort of getting it off your chest or whatever, and what might someone say. So the idea that this guy who is a serial killer, he's a bad guy who in fact has killed 4 other girls, but just not Bree's daughter,
Right.
it's so shocking, because it's like, no, I did kill 4 other people's daughters, but not yours. And then of course she has to know, well, what the heck happened and who did.
Right. And of course, she's wondering, is he just making her and her ex-husband twist in the wind? Because one of the things about serial killers is they're monsters. You can't believe them. And Ted Bundy was known for saying, as he got close to being executed, no, there are really 110 women, not this many women, or whatever. And Bree doesn't know. Maybe this guy, Calvin Rock, did murder her daughter, but she can't be sure.
Right, exactly. And I didn't know that about Ted Bundy. So, I mean, because it's almost like, how much more harm can he cause to really, leave
Right.
these poor people suffering and now wondering even more.
Right. They're
So,
sadists, so they don't care if you're going to twist in the wind.
right. Right. Just so that not only, not only do they not have their daughter, but now they don't have any peace, because now they'll be wondering for the rest of their lives, what happened. Or like Bree, our heroine, she's gonna, team up with her ex-husband, which is a lot of people's nightmares. And have to go
Yeah.
investigate.
Yeah. And it is hard for her, in part because their marriage broke up because of their
Ooh, we're losing you a little bit,
saying,
Kate.
look, this is not, what I want. I was grief stricken. Give me another chance. And, she can't forgive him, because as she says, look, I can't deal with my grief and always be wondering about whether you're sleeping with somebody else or cheating on me. So it becomes really too impossible for her to stay with him. But her feelings about him are still unresolved. She loved him. She didn't want the marriage to end.
Of course. Sharon saying, this is right up my alley. Well, welcome to the cool kid alley, Sharon. You're one of us over here. Oh my God, that's our new thing. We're cool kid alley, hanging out on
Good.
cool
I want to be part of that.
Renee wants to know, Kate, have you ever spoken to someone on death row? Ooh.
No, I never have. One of the most chilling experiences I ever had was going to Sing Sing, the prison there. Mystery Writers of America had a day you could sign up for, like the first 20 people who got it could go there, spend time with the warden, tour the prison. And it was the most heartbreaking thing I have ever seen in my life. The conditions were just so awful. And I think he said that 95% of the people at Sing Sing will eventually be freed, but they have long sentences or violent criminals. And there was one point we were brought into this little area where guys who had been on good behavior were allowed to be out of their cells. And they had this kind of crummy looking little apartment area. And we were just all there standing with a warden. And it would have been so easy, I realized, for somebody to come up and just grab you by the neck. And yet my heart just ached for these guys. And what was interesting afterwards, I've done a couple of books on career success for my days in the magazine business. And I asked, is there any way I could come up and volunteer? And it was just impossible to, they know they don't do stuff like that. And I tried to get involved in other prisons that way. It's very hard. And you see that for someone to try to come out, I think it's better today, but with someone to try to come out with new skill sets and all that, it's very difficult.
a really good friend of mine who is an astrophysics professor at Princeton, searching for life on other planets, taught remedial math to women, incarcerated women at a women's prison. And Dave Spiegel is his name. He's just such a wonderful, lovely, kind human being. And it was so funny that, I mean, what a disparity, right? Like by day he's at Princeton looking for life on other planets, and by night he's going to this women's prison and teaching basic mathematics skills. And
Oh,
the women loved him and called him Davy. And I always
oh,
was trying to picture, this brilliant astrophysicist, wonderful human being, hanging out with these women and teaching them math. And I could totally picture it because he's just the nicest guy. But I think it would
no,
be
that's
extra
so,
challenging for a woman
yes.
to a male
Yes,
person.
I think it's easier to get volunteer work in not among nonviolent
Yeah.
women than it is with serial killers.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up Lisa Unger because she's up next in the hot seat. We're going to grill her next. But also, Kate, she had some wonderful words to say about your book. Let's take a quick peek because they are extensive, so they're going to cover our faces. I'll just read them. She said, "I Came Back for You is an elegant and gripping whodunit much as it is a moving deep dive into love, grief, and a mother's search for justice. Kate White brings her formidable talent to bear in this haunting, unputdownable novel. I read it in one sitting and I can't stop thinking about it. So first of all, congratulations on that rave review from fellow New York Times bestselling author Lisa Unger. And what I wanted to talk about was I wanted to talk about two parts of this. But first of all, the first part of it, where she says it is both gripping and elegant, because I feel like if you're sitting there thinking like, oh, what do I want someone to feel about my writing? I mean, that would be pretty much my goals, like a gripping and elegant book. So, Kate, how many books have you written now? What number is this for you?
This is 19. I just
Oh
finished
my
the 20th.
God.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know.
So what
Sarah,
do
oh my
you what have you learned from book 1 to book 19 about writing elegant, so that's well written, but also gripping, page turning whodunits? What can you
God.
tell us?
The gripping part, I have to say that I still try to educate myself that I had always wanted to write suspense fiction, but I went into the magazine business. And when I started, I lucked out. I wrote a book before my kids got up on weekends and before I took them to school in the mornings. And I got a 2-book contract, and it was a Kelly Ripa book club, so it was an instant New York Times bestseller. So I had this sort of good fortune,
Mm,
but I hadn't studied it. And so in recent years, I've spent a lot of time reading everything I could, going to hear other authors, and just trying to keep going with, this, the skill development. And the editor on my new book was so I hadn't worked with before. She was saying, wow, how did you learn how to write chapter endings that make somebody want to keep turning pages? And
yes.
it's somewhat intuitive, but I think for anyone who wants to write a thriller, it is important to know that just because you're good at something else, just because you were a smart lawyer, doesn't mean you know how to do this. The elegant part has been a challenge in one sense for me, because there are a lot of big authors, and them, who I'm reading one right now just because I was curious. They write books with no analogies, no metaphors. It's just boom, boom, boom. She opened the door, her
Yeah.
head blew off, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I can't do that. I just can't. And a couple of years ago, there was somebody wrote a review on Amazon, and I tend not to look at too much of those reviews, but I want to be aware of what people think.
Yeah.
And somebody said something about, maybe there was too much description or something. And I thought, but that's the kind of book I want to read. And
Yes.
when I read the Scott Turow book, Presumed Guilty,
Yeah.
last year, it's very talky. It's a lot of backstory, very descriptive, but I enjoy that as a reader. I want something to chew on and to think about. So if you write books that are a bit elegant, or you hope they are, you have to let go of the need to please everybody, because you're not. There are going to be these people who just want a James Patterson style book with no description, four word sentences, and that's going to be it. But
Yeah.
that isn't everyone's taste either.
Oh my God. First of all, the bouquets of hearts coming up on Facebook is telling me that this is resonating with so many of us. And it's also resonating with me. Weirdly, I just was on a Zoom earlier today talking about this exact thing. And I wonder if that trend of less description, less elegance, more the forward sentences is a shortened attention span, or what that issue is, because I am a person who loves to read and also seeks to write elegantly written books. And I want to pause and linger over a sentence and really visualize what you're describing and thinking about. I want to go into that moment with my whole heart and my mind. And it's so interesting to me that I see that same trend and I'm like, what's going on? I don't know.
Right. No, I do think that there are women who want to read books and be able to linger, to be able to think a little bit. In fact, when
Yes.
I teach a program at sometimes libraries or bookstores on how to write your own thriller instead of just reading them, one of the things I point out, is that yes, a thriller has to be a bit of a bullet train. You're going fast. You have the inciting incident. Whoa, the protagonist's life is about to change. She's going to have to make a decision to go forward. But I said, spend a little time in the cafe car too while you're on that.
Oh my God, slip it.
Because if you look at your, Amazon, you go to click on like the Kindle edition or whatever, you'll see that books have certain passages highlighted. And they're beautiful passages. And they are things that, some will say like 400 people highlighted this because they liked lingering over that beautiful description or the beautiful sentence or the beautiful analogy. So you can't let those people get you down who sometimes say, it might have dragged a little bit. For them, it dragged, but for another kind of reader, it didn't.
Oh my God, I am so here for this conversation, Kate. Oh my God. This is exactly, and I love your analogy of the bullet train. Of course I want to keep the pages spinning. I don't want, 60 pages of exposition, but can I just linger in the cafe and have a croissant and a cup of coffee and just enjoy myself for a moment? Oh my gosh. Thanks
But
for all
it's true, Sarah. You mentioned a short attention span. That is so true. I'm going to teach a course at Thriller Fest this year. You can tell I was the former editor of Cosmopolitan because I called it How to Seduce a Reader in 25 Pages or Less. But I remember when I first started reading books on writing a thriller, there was a book called The First 50 Pages because the first 50 pages were important. And now, no, it's not the first 50 pages. It's the first page. It's the first sentence. You have to hook them.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, who better to teach the How to Seduce a Reader class than the former editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan magazine, who took Cosmo to #1 on the newsstands and kept it there during her entire tenure. So I would sign up for your class in a New York second. Oh my gosh. Jane Brannigan-Kaufman, welcome to the conversation. Good to see you. Kate, we had some questions submitted in advance that I want to make sure we get to. So #1 coming up from Leanne, and she would like to know what inspired you to center the story. I'm going to pop this up so we can all read it. What inspired you to center the story on a mother's decade-long grief and her decision to revisit a closed chapter in her life? Did any real-world cases or personal experiences influence you in writing Bree's relentless pursuit of the truth? Leanne, thanks for the great question.
Yeah, that is such a great question. Leanne, I'm not sure. As I was saying, it seemed to come just out of my head one day. But I think for me, having had some grief in my life, I felt in some ways it would help me with some grief I experienced. But
Hmm.
it's a challenge writing about the mother of a daughter because you feel like you don't want to do anything to sort of, kind of, put out the idea to the universe that anything could happen to your daughter. So my kids read my books, but I did not tell my daughter that I had a new book because I purposely don't want to read this. And she said the other day, "Don't you have something coming out? Not this year." Um,
Listen,
and
Kate, it's going to be an awkward Mother's Day for you this year, okay?
yes,
It's going to
exactly,
be an awkward Mother's Day at the White House
right,
because she's going to be like,
exactly.
"Why did you kill me, Mom?"
Right, right. But Leanne, one thing I do know that I did is that I wanted Bree as she goes home or back to the United States in the book from Uruguay. I'll explain that in a second. But she has to go to the college town Cartersville where her daughter was killed, and I wanted her to come from a long distance so that there was more of a sense of the stakes being really high. She was putting more at risk, and so I thought I'm going to center it in Uruguay, where I live in the winter. And you can tell I'm in Uruguay right now because I have the overhead fan going,
Yeah, and I
and
have the fire going and I'm sitting on top of it.
This is my home office in Uruguay where we live in the winter. And my agent said to me, "Have you ever thought of centering something in Uruguay?" And I wouldn't have done the whole book here, but I thought this would be a great place to start because it shows just the gap between where Bree is now and what she has to go back to.
Mm. Well, thank you for that great question. And thank
Yeah,
you for that
thank you, Leanne.
answer.
That's such a good question.
You guys, I want to remind you that the book is not even out yet. Kate White is coming on to give us the exclusive sneak peek and take all of your most pressing questions. You can order from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. So whether
Wow.
you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, here is the link to my partner in crime, Murder by the Books. Order link. You can pre-order it right now. And the good folks at Murder by the Book will send it to you first thing in the morning, and you can get your mitts on the world of Bree and this and her quest for the truth in I Came Back for You.
I love
Robin,
that bookstore, by the way. Oh, I had the chance to go there once. Oh, I loved it.
yay! I've actually never been. I've just been in partnership with them for 6 years, but I've never been. Oh my god! And it's almost. Oh my god! It's March. It's been 6 years. Um, Robin, welcome to the conversation from Santa Cruz, California. Good to have you here. I'm glad you're getting a lovely change of scene. Okay, I want to get to some of these other questions. This one came in. Bree faces. I'm going to pop this up so we can all see it. This one is from Jeannie. She would like to know, Bree faces immense trauma. Oops, sorry, hold on. I clicked the wrong one. I'm gonna get it. Okay. Here we go. Bree faces immense trauma while uncovering hidden truths. Oops, no, that's the last question. Sorry, Leanne, that was your question. We're going to Jeannie's now. Bree faces immense trauma while uncovering hidden truths about her daughter's murder. How did you balance portraying her vulnerability? I lost the second half of the question, and her growing determination. And what do you think makes her journey so relatable to readers who are grappling with loss?
Well, one of the things Bree says in the book that, and this came out through some research I was doing, that she said that there is a response we have to stress that's fight or flight.
Yes.
And but she says when I was researching, I saw that they've added another response that we
Ooh,
sometimes do, and that's called fawn,
ooh, I don't
meaning
know that one.
when we are under stress sometimes, almost like a dog that is worried about how you've yelled at the dog might kind of slink a little low and
Yeah.
maybe fawn and be obsequious because we think, well, I need to get this person back into my good graces. I don't want to do anything to rock the boat in case that's not going to help me. And one of the things Bree realizes, and she says that she found this through a therapist she went to after her daughter's death 8 years ago, is that she had fawned with the police, that she was so
Mm.
needy of making sure that they did everything in their power to find the killer. She didn't want to be a bitchy person to deal with or somebody off-putting. And she realized that she fawned too much. And so
Oh,
one of the things she's going to deal with now is, recognizing how vulnerable she feels, but knowing it's important to stand up for herself. And there's one critical moment where she takes the bull by the horns herself, that she isn't going to wait around for the police to get to something. And that's a big deal for her because, she was a successful career woman before this happened, but she's kind of gone freelance in the years since because it's just been too hard for her. But she gets back some of her gumption as she realizes, I can't wait. I have to figure some of this out myself. I can't be a fawner anymore.
I'm so glad you brought up that scene, Kate, because that was at once very painful and very poignant to read, and ultimately very empowering. Because I think as a woman, I wonder if that's more of a uniquely female trait. I have
Yes,
been guilty of
yes,
that, and
yes,
it's like I feel like, oh, because I live in a culture that has not support, that views empowered women as bitchy women, that I sometimes, oh, you'll catch more flies with honey, and so it's like we're just giving out the honey, but it's like sometimes you have to, and there's this terrible deep down fear of like, oh, I can't be a bitch, I can't be too
right.
demanding, I'll catch more flies with honey, don't want to, I don't want to put anyone off with my demands. And so in that moment when she flips that switch, it's like, yes, but also so
Yeah,
scary, like,
I
wow.
know. I once had to go to the police years ago because of something that terrible that happened to a friend of mine, and I needed some help. And before I went, I found myself getting dressed up in this sort of a kind of not tartan, but like a plaid pencil skirt and a black turtleneck and putting on my makeup. And I realized, oh, I'm putting on a look that doesn't look like, I'm dressed in Prada or something, and it doesn't look like I'm down market. I'm trying to look like I've got a certain amount of strength, but not too much. And because you just have the sense, I want to make sure they deal with me. And you're aware of what happens sometimes if you're not dressed or acting what's viewed as appropriately in certain situations.
Right, exactly right. You want to be, a demure and, oh, let me help you, and oh,
Right, right,
and oh, I don't want to be, but I don't want to be too masculine, but I don't want to be
right,
too, but too
right,
much of a doormat. It's just this impossibly thin high wire. And back to what you were saying about the reviews, you just can't please everyone, but you're
right,
everywhere, and it's
right.
exhausting. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wanted to share some of the other incredible reviews because we're time is flying. We're having so much fun. This one from Kimberly Bell, who has been on for her last three books. She had some wonderful words to share. She says, "Kate delivers a mystery about an explosive mystery about a daughter's final days through the eyes of a mother desperate to understand the daughter she lost." What follows is a taut, deeply felt whodunit filled with grief, reckoning, and painful truths that come to light when it is too late to ask the question. She's not the only one raving. We also have these wonderful words from JT Ellison. I'll pop them up as well. JT on for her last several books as well. Calling the book Whip Smart from the amazing Kate White. I could not agree more. And she says, oops, that's the second half. She says, a heartbreaking promise, a deeply emotional story, and an intense ride through one mother's nightmare. I Came Back for You as a whip smart thriller from the amazing Kate White, with characters so alive they leap off the page. The story is sharp, sophisticated, and full of intrigue. A fabulous read from the unsettling
Oh,
open to the explosive ending. And I also wanted to share this one from Chad Zunker, who calls the book utterly compelling. I mean, just so many great, I'll put Chads. Oh, thanks for all the hearts, you guys. He said, this is the kind of story that just keeps building with every flip of the page. I couldn't stop reading.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Amazing. Again, you guys, you can order from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore, and the good folks at the bookstore will send it out tomorrow morning. So whether you're watching with us on Facebook or YouTube, here again is that link so that you can get your mitts on this book. Kate White, thank you so much for coming on to give us the
Sarah, thank
insights.
you. Thank you so much. And thank you to Murder by the Book. I just so I want to do a huge shout out to them for what they do for the genre, and to you too, Sarah. Thank you so much. And if anyone's interested, I'm at katewhite.com.
Perfect. Yes, everybody follow Kate, give her and be sure to give her a follow. Check out all that she has to come. And Kate, I can't believe this is book number 19. Now I'm expecting that you're already working on book number 20.
Yeah, it's already been accepted. And now I'm just doing some notes with the editor, which is so, but I have a great editor, so I'm happy to do it. But it's like, could you add a little here? Could you add a little there? And it's like, you were just finished. You just thought you were finishing it with it, but there's always more.
Right. They're like, open that vein, Kate. We're not done. Open it back up. Oh my God. Well, you have to come back for your 20th book, and we have to do something
Sarah, please.
extra fabulous for your 20th book, because my God, what an incredible accomplishment on top of your already incredible list of accomplishments. So it's a hot date. As soon as you get that pub date, email me. I've got to have you back. Oh,
all right.
Congratulations.
Babe.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining me on this exclusive sneak peek for I Came Back for You by the incredible Kate White. Go get a snack, get a drink, and get your butts back in that seat for the top of the hour when Lisa Unger, who had bravery words for this one, comes in to give us the inside scoop on her latest book, Served Him Right.
Give her a big kiss for me.
I will.